Welcome to the third week of our series called Crisis Mode. When life hits hard, it can feel like God is letting you down. Thoughts will tell you there's no way out of what you're going through, no way to fix the situation, no way to get back to normal. But don't believe those lies. God always has a disaster plan. He always has a way to get you to where He wants you to be on the other side of that problem. That's what this series is all about. In the first week of the series, we talked about drawing strength from what matters. We said that riding out the storm, the best way to ride out the storm is to remember who you are. You are not forgotten. You are not a failure. You are a child of the Most High God. That means whatever happens to you in this life, you will always belong to Him. He will always be your strength and your refuge. And He will always never let you down. He will always lift you up and never let you down in the end. Last week we talked about how going back to basics is one of the best things we can do when life turns upside down. If you want to make it through the storm, you have to get back to what never fails, what always works, your faith. Show up for God, trust in His plan, believe in Him, have confidence in Him, love Him, and love your neighbor as yourself. It's not complicated. It's powerful. It's powerful. And there's no better way to get through a crisis. And it's where the breakthrough happens. Today, I want to offer a third strategy from God's disaster plan so you can always remain calm, cool, and collected in any crisis, just like me. I want to talk with you today about keep being your best. When life throws a curveball, you're in crisis mode, it's easy to feel anxious and worried, to get upset, to become depressed, and even isolate yourself from other people. The stress of the situation can create negative feelings of anger, shame, guilt, resentment. Resentment because while you're suffering, other people are enjoying their lives. Their children are thriving while you're spending all your time dealing with a child who's off course. They're healthy, traveling the world, taking luxury cruises, eating out every night, while you're stuck at home, dealing with a medical setback, the cancer treatments. Your friends are being promoted at work while you're under extreme pressure. Your boss keeps demanding more and more. He's never happy, never satisfied. I don't know if something like that is happening to you right now, but what I do know for sure is that if it is, God has a better game plan than blaming yourself, feeling jealous of others, getting irritated, frustrated, and impatient with the situation, and basically allowing the worst in you to come out. One of the best things you can do when life hits hard, when you're in a crisis, is keep being your best. Don't let the enemy convince you that you're going down, all is lost, there's no way out. God didn't bring you this far to leave you now. He's watching over you. He sees everything you're going through. And you may feel tired, stretched thin, like you have nothing left to give. But you can still keep being your best for your child in crisis. You can still keep being your best through that medical treatment, following your doctor's orders and praying every day in thanksgiving in advance that God is restoring health back into you. You can still keep being your best, showing up at work with passion, energy, and enthusiasm. Instead of getting down about it, why don't you rise up and keep being your best? This is what Abraham and Sarah did in the first reading today. They had been waiting for a baby for a very long time and had grown old in the process. Genesis chapter 12, God promised Abraham that he would one day have many descendants. They would be more numerous than the stars in the sky. Seemed impossible at the time. Abraham was already 75 years old. Sarah had gone through the change in life. And 24 years had come and gone after that promise, and there was still no baby. God showed up again, reminded Abraham that he had not forgotten about his promise, that one day he would be the father of many nations, and one day he and Sarah would conceive and bear a son named Isaac. And so Abraham kept staying in faith. But then yet another year went by after that renewed promise. 3 visitors delivered a message in the first reading today that long-awaited child was now soon on the way. You can imagine how Abraham could have reacted. Bitter, cynical, disbelieving. He could have refused to welcome those visitors, not offer them hospitality, treat them badly, snub them, let them go on past. After all, why should he believe God now? After so many years had gone by, so much time had passed, his promises still unfulfilled. But instead, Abraham kept being his best. He came out of that tent, he bowed low to the ground, and he said to those visitors, "Please do not go on past your servant. Let some water be brought that you may bathe your feet, and then rest yourselves under the tree." He offered them freshly baked bread, sweet yogurt and milk, and meat from one of his finest young steers. Abraham waited on them hand and foot. But I'm sure Abraham got a little tired of waiting for God to fulfill his end of the bargain. I can imagine night after night in the tent, consoling Sarah, "Don't worry, honey, it's all going to work out. God promised it. He always comes through on his promises. You're going to be a mother one day." It couldn't have been easy, because back then, not being able to have a child was truly a crisis in your life. Other people would look down on you. They would think less of you. And even in that difficult situation, even when others would have lost hope and given up, even when so much time had passed, Abraham kept being his best. He kept believing. He kept being generous. He kept serving. And a year later, when Abraham turned 100 years old, Isaac was born. This is what can happen when you keep being your best. A friend of mine, Elizabeth, teaches engineering at Stanford University. Brilliant woman. She's led major departments, worked with NASA, even served on the President's Intelligence Advisory Board. Her husband, a 4-star Navy admiral. Talk about a power couple. And they come to church here at St. Hilary. So grateful for that. But when you think about that, you think about a couple like that, you might wonder, they must live on easy street, right? Nothing ever bad happens to them, no problems, no setbacks. But can I tell you, storms come to all of us. Some years ago, Elizabeth found herself in crisis mode. Her stepson, Eric, who was a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, by the way, was rushed to the hospital. He had contracted a rare and aggressive form of flesh-eating bacteria. The doctors did everything they could, but to save his life, they had to amputate his arm, his shoulder, and parts of his torso. Eric could have gotten bitter, thought, "Why me? I've worked so hard, accomplished so much. This is the thanks I get." But instead, lying in that hospital bed, he said something powerful. He said, "I didn't win the Nobel Prize because I had 2 arms. I won because of how I think." And in that moment, he made a choice. He decided he was not going to let that loss define him. He went back to work, teaching, researching, mentoring young people. He even started running 5Ks, was featured on the front cover of Runner's World magazine one time. And he said, "I may look disabled, but I'm not. I'm still me." One of the world's most brilliant scientists with only 1 arm. And what did he do? He kept being his best. When life takes away something suddenly from you, your health, family members you love, your plans for the future, your stability, your security, you still have a choice. You can fold in defeat, or you can rise up in faith. God never promised us a life without struggle. He promised to be with us through the storms. And the best way to get through those storms is to keep being your best. That's what Eric did, even when life changed forever. And you can too. But a lot of people, they get so caught up in the stress and the trauma of a bad situation, they forget this principle. When life turns bad and they're in crisis mode, They get sour, angry, upset, bitter. This is what I think happened to Martha today in the gospel story. She had invited Jesus over for dinner. And back then, it was a big honor to have an important person like him, a rabbi, come to your home. Obviously, she wanted everything to be perfect. I'm pretty sure that she spent the entire day deep cleaning, putting clutter away in closets, restocking bathrooms with scented candles, battling the crowds at Costco, agonizing over which playlist she was going to use at dinner, and of course, cooking like she was auditioning for House of Knives. Meanwhile, her sister is out there yucking it up with Jesus, having a good time, relaxing, not doing much, not helping at all. So, burdened with much serving, Martha comes to Jesus and said, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me by myself to do the serving? Tell her to help me." Now, can't you just picture this? It's kind of comical, right? Martha up to her elbows in hummus, flour on her forehead, pots and pans boiling over. And out in the other room, her sister Mary is basically having a TED Talk with the Son of God, soaking up divine inspiration over a chai latte like she's on some kind of spa day. So, of course, Martha busts in there, is like, "Lord, unless the Messiah plans on helping me peel the garlic, could you tell my sister to turn off the holy podcast, pick up a ladle, and get to work?" Jesus replied to her, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her." Now, a lot of people get confused about this passage. It is confusing. What is Jesus really saying? Well, here's what I think. The problem was not that Martha was serving and Mary was learning. The problem was that Martha was striving and straining. She was angry, getting more and more angry, bitter, and resentful by the minute. She was not being her best self. Jesus was not chiding her because she was working hard. He was basically telling her to take it down a notch. He was saying, "Martha, even when you're stressed, keep being your best." The Apostle Paul encountered many difficult, challenging moments in his travels. In fact, his entire ministry was marked by struggle and adversity. Enemies coming against him, friends deserting him, a thorn in his side plaguing him. He was arrested many times, taken in for questioning, shipwrecked, bitten by a poisonous snake. I mean, you name it, it happened to him, and the list goes on and on. But did you notice what he said in the second reading today? He said, "I rejoice in my sufferings for your sake." That's because he understood this principle of being your best even when you're in trouble. He understood what was at stake: the spreading of the gospel to the Gentiles, the building up of the church, the salvation of souls. And so everywhere he went, no matter what he went through, he always brought his A game, his very best. And so can we. Even when we're at our worst, we can bring our very best. A few pictures a little early. A few mornings of the week, I like to go down running by the bay. You ever been down there on the footpath? It's a lot of fun. And I do bring this one, my trusty, loyal running partner, Gracie, who happens to be a dog and not a person. But you know what happens practically every time we go down there? She runs into this other dog who's so aggressive, mean, and vicious to Gracie. Like she's barking and growling at her. He's barking and growling at Gracie for no apparent reason. You would have thought that Gracie had somehow stolen his favorite chew toy. Meanwhile, she's just trotting along going like, "Sir, I do not even know you. What's the problem here?" Right? It's like we somehow stumbled into an episode of Real House Pets of Marin County. The drama is high and nobody knows why. But here's what I think. It seems like somewhere along the line, the only thing that makes sense is that that dog was hurt, maybe attacked by other canines, and wounded. And perhaps he never really healed psychologically and emotionally. There's an old saying that hurt people hurt people. You know what that means? Like when you're in crisis and you're feeling hurt, it's easy to lash out against other people and hurt them. And maybe that's true with dogs too. But here's the thing. You don't have to make that same mistake. When you're in a crisis, don't let the pain, the disappointment, the bad breaks affect you negatively. Don't let the stress, the worry, anxiety, the pressure, the trouble pull you down. The enemy would like nothing more than for you to lose heart, shrink back, live disheartened, live in defeat, and let the bitterness take over. There are times in this life when life will try to knock you down. But with God on your side, you don't have to stay down. Whatever is taken away from you doesn't compare to what God has put in you. His greatness, His mercy, His love, His forgiveness, His abundance, His healing, His victory. And so, like Abraham, like Eric, like Paul, like Gracie, keep showing up. Keep acting with integrity, with love, with compassion, with kindness. Keep rising to the occasion. Keep being your best. If you can do this, I believe and declare that your best days are still yet to come.